Well, I think let's start beginning. Firstly, thank you so much to all of you that have attended my first Power Hour. This is a new bi-weekly learning series designed for an exclusive group of SysAid customers. Each 1 hour Zoom session is going to be hosted by myself. I'm Cindy Sivan. I'm SysAid's Director of Customer Success. And the reason for these power hours is for me to bring you some expert tips, some best practices, and some live Q&A to help you level up your SysAid experience. So like I said, thanks for joining me. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but well, I guess I was going to introduce my team first, but let me start off with me. Like I said, I'm Cindy. I'm the Director of Customer Success at SysAid. I've been at SysAid for over or almost 8 years now. I spent the first 4 years of my life at SysAid in professional services, and then I moved over to customer success 4 years ago. So it's been an amazing experience so far, and I'm happy to share my knowledge and help you get to the best place where you guys want to be with your SysAid environment. And for the more exciting bit, let me introduce you to my team who are my chat moderators today as well. Sarah Dinmez, Asaf Padden, and Tanya Walia. These are my 3 incredible AEs in my team, and I'm sure some of you may have met them already, but if you haven't, I'm sure they'd love to meet with you guys. So yeah, this is them. And let's do a little bit about, let's talk about today's agenda. First and foremost, today we're going to be doing a live walkthrough of a real-time health check. We're going to go over some strategies with guidance from myself, tailored to your own SysAid environment. I will provide you with some best practices, some tips. I'll help you clean up or set up your environment in order to optimize performance and make sure you get the full value of SysAid. So just a little bit of housekeeping. Please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section at any time. My team will assist in answering them. If they don't answer them, I will get to them hopefully by the end of the session. And if we still don't get to if I don't still get to answer them, then we'll reply to you separately after the session, or perhaps you can set up a meeting with my team. So if you can, Sarah, if you can just add in the chat right now, I'm going to be sending a link in the chat. If you would like to set up a meeting at any time, there's going to be a You Can Book Me link that Sarah's going to post in the Q&A right now. In the chat right now, where you can book an appointment with my team at any time. And please feel free to book a meeting at any time during the next hour. Okay, I'm also going to be launching 1 or 2 polls as well during the session. Your feedback is super important. If you want, just as we're starting to get into this little webinar, you're all welcome to write where you're from, say hi, send an emoji. I don't mind. The more engaged, the better. I like it when people engage. It would have been nice if if we had the opportunity to turn on cameras, but it's not going to be the case. There's quite a few of us. So let's begin. We're going to go through a health check. And what we're going to do is I'm going to do the health check from my cloud test environment. And I would like you for all to open up your SysAid environments as we speak, because you can run the health check on your side as we speak. And then we're going to be going through the criteria and the performance and so forth. So let's start. I'm going to just exit out of the deck. I'm going to be sharing my screen, as you can already see, with the SysAid Spaces. This is our new UI. If you've got SysAid Classic version, it's going to work. If you've got Spaces, it's going to work as well. But I hope that you've all opened up your environments right now and you're ready to do the automated health check with me. Okay, so I'm going to pause. I don't know if anyone's got any questions in the meantime. I don't see any, but let's just double check. I don't see any questions. Okay, so let's begin. All right, so you all have a URL. It's probably your company name, and it all ends in sysaidit.com with a \. What you need to do, and just before you do this, I just want to let you know, when you run this automated health check, it's not going to affect your environment. You're not going to be making any changes. It won't affect the performance. So I just wanted to let you know that. Type in healthcheck.jsp, and it should look similar like this. Healthcheck.jsp, the C is a capital C.jsp. And once you've done that, you're going to click on enter. And I hope that you're all at the stage where I'm in. If not, you don't have to do it now. You can always go back to it. But the whole point of this exercise is to do the health check with you and to go through the health check modules and the specific status. Okay, so let's start. Like I said, this is my test account, and you're going to see when you run the health check, you're probably going to have a lot of green checked boxes, and you may have some red crosses over here. So the whole point of this is to actually get you to be in a green status for all of these different health check modules, but we're going to go through this together. Okay, so first and foremost, I just want to let you know that we are changing our branding and we are changing our videos as well. So if you do click on a video, unfortunately, the videos are not working. But everything else, the main thing is the data here, what you're seeing. So I see that there's a few chats. You're getting a 404 error. I'm not sure why you would be getting a 404 error. You said upper C will fix it. Yeah, so this is only for the cloud version of SysAid. If you are on premise, it will not work for on premise. However, you can still stay on with me for the logic. Okay, so this is only if you're on the cloud version. Jason, you're on cloud and you're getting a 404 error. I'm not sure, Jason. You may need to try it in a different, yeah, it's healthcheck.jsp, exactly. Exactly. Thank you for George and Jali who are putting in this. It's sysaidit.com with a \, and then you're putting in the healthcheck.jsp. So this is the only thing that you're changing. Okay, sysaidit.com, healthcheck.jsp. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to start. If you're getting a 404 error, we may need to check this afterwards, but let's begin. Okay, so let's talk about the self-service portal. If you have a green check, amazing. This means that you're using our self-service portal, and I'm very happy that you are. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why. First and foremost is when you're using our self-service portal, this is an incredible way for your users to see a lot of things. Now, if you've got a red cross over here, my question for you is, why aren't your users using our self-service portal? And I'm going to take you on a little journey into our self-service portal. Over here, we've got, and again, this is my test. We've got our SysAid AI chatbot. This is our co-pilot. And this is something that I'm not going to be covering in our health check, but hopefully you know a little bit about our SysAid Copilot, and if not, we're here for you. Book a meeting with us. We'll be happy to walk you through. But the reason why you want your team to be using the SysAid self-service portal is because they would have access to our chatbot, access to submit an incident and request. But one of the main things is that if you've got users submitting tickets, they can see the history of their tickets. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to open up this ticket, okay? If there are any messages or any notes added by administrators or agents, they'll be able to see it here. You can see what the status is. You can see who's assigned to it. You can see when it was last modified. And this is for your users. So you should be emphasizing the fact that all of your users should be submitting tickets from the self-service portal. What's really nice as well is, especially when it comes to sending tickets in via email integration, it's really nice to use a self-service portal. Why? Because you have categories that will be selected. If we're going to submit an incident, for example, categories are already submitted by the user, and the urgency and the impact is defined by them. When you're submitting a ticket via email, you don't have the category, so it just makes it more efficient for your agents when a category is already selected. If you're using our chatbot, they don't even actually have to submit anything with a category. It's all done via the AI. Okay, so we have tickets over here that they can see, like I already mentioned, and they've also got access to the knowledge base as well. So if you want your users to work through their own tickets, how to reset a password, you have your knowledge base that has self-service portal. Your knowledge base on the self-service portal, they can literally just click on the knowledge base article, and perhaps it can help them resolve the ticket themselves. Okay, so this is one other thing. You've also got chat functionality, and you may also want to have different departments like HR. If you've got your HR group, they don't necessarily even have to see all of this. You can actually set up different service catalog items pertaining to different admin groups as well. So maybe your HR, when they're logging in, they will only have access, it obviously needs to be set up, of course, they'll only have access to their HR onboarding and offboarding requests, which I hope you're all using. Okay. I'm going to jump off the self-service portal. If you've got any questions for the self-service portal, drop them into the Q&A chat. And let's move back onto the health check. Okay, so email integration. I'm going to walk you through. I'm just going to go from here into I'm just going to refresh this because I want to show you the email integration settings. Hang on. Okay. All right. Over here in the email integration settings, why did mine fail? Okay, so in your email integration settings, you've probably, if it's failed, it means you're not using one or two of the email integration. So it means either you've disabled the incoming email integration, or you've disabled your outgoing email integration. In my case, it's failed because I've disabled both. Now, if you've got any of these disabled, my question is for you is why? Because you working in SysAid Help Desk, all of your incoming and outgoing email integrations should be working. Otherwise, how are you communicating with your end users, your customers? How are you communicating? Because you should be communicating from your service desk in your incidents. You should be communicating from the ticket, right? So if you're not communicating from the ticket, then over here, you should all be communicating from here. So if you're not, I'm unsure why, you're welcome to let us know, but you should have your internal and your incoming and your outgoing email integrations both working. Otherwise, you will hit an X for that. Okay. All right. I do see some questions. Sarah, I see you're helping. And of course, you're getting a very different screen. I'm not sure why, but like I said, you must follow your healthcheck.jsp. And if it's not working for you, please listen to my logic as well, so that you can go through this on your own when we actually get yours working. Okay. Now that we're moving on from email integration, let's go into the operating times. So let me take you over here. You can see I've got a red cross for my operating time. So let's go in there. Let's see why I've got a cross. Firstly, there's a few reasons, and I'm going to go into this in a little bit more into a little bit more detail. If you're using SLAs, if you have SLAs, if you've got due dates set up, it all starts with the operating time of your help desk. If the operating time of your help desk is not set up correctly, you're going to get incorrect data when it comes to SLAs and so forth. So I'm going to give you an example. How you would set this up is, let's just say mine is set up from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, my health check, sorry, is in my sales spaces account. So let me just go into my sales spaces account. So just hang on 1 second. I need to just go out of this. I've got another test account. And if you did get this error, you can see the URL is wrong. There we go. I'll just want to go into the classic version of my spaces account. Okay. Operating times, which is exactly the same. Okay, that's fine. They're both set up the same. Okay, so 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Great. Are these the operating times? Yes, they are the operating times. However, my help desk, for example, takes a 1-hour lunch break. Now, if I'm taking a 1-hour lunch break, then you're going to set it up for 8 a.m. to, let's just say they take a lunch break between 1 and 2 p.m. Then you're going to set it up 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and they return at 2 p.m. until, let's just say, until 6 p.m. And these are the times, and I'm going to set them all. These are the times of my help desk. Now, I'm not telling you to make changes now, all right? I'm in the operating time screen over here, but this is a more accurate way of setting up your help desk. If your help desk doesn't have a lunch break and no one takes lunch, there's always someone operating the help desk at the time, then that's absolutely fine. Then you would leave it as 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, but the very important thing is that you have a default time zone. Mine is set for US Eastern time. That's super important, and it's very important to exclude dates like, for example, if your offices are closed on Christmas, you would go in. Let's just add an exclusion date. Let's just say you're going to be closed on Christmas, which is the 25th of December. Add the exclusion dates and, of course, save it. Okay. So I hope that this is clear. If you've got questions, like I said, please post them in the chat. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Where is the operating section in Spaces? So if you go into Spaces, let's just switch to Spaces. What you can do is go into the settings page and just click on operating, just select operating times. Just start typing it. And then you're going to find it over here in Spaces. Okay, great. Thanks, Jake. Okay, so let's continue my health check. Might need to run it again because I'm moving from screen to screen. Let's go back, run it again. Okay, healthcheck.jsp, hit enter. All right, now let's talk about escalation rules. I hope a lot of you are using escalation rules. If not, again, my question for you is going to be, why are you not using escalation rules? Okay, because your escalation rules does a lot of automation for you. All right, but there's a few things with escalation rules, and let's go in there. Okay, now have a look at all of my escalation rules. I've got a lot of escalation rules here, and I've passed the test. I've got a green check, which is great. However, if you don't have any escalation rules set up, then of course, my question for you is why? Now, you're probably also wondering, what are the recommended and the best practices for escalation rules? Well, firstly, you always want to have an escalation rule to archive your tickets. This is super, super important, because if your help desk is looking like this, actually, I think mine is set up according to, but actually this is not. If you've got thousands of tickets that have not been archived, if the status is closed, it's not a great place. Okay, you want to archive your tickets. You want to have a clean working help desk, and that's one of the first escalation rules that you should have. If we go back into escalation rules, now you can see that I've got quite a lot. Now, it's great that I've got quite a lot. I do have specific escalation rules set to trigger to go to different groups, but you have to be careful with escalation rules as well, because if you have too many escalation rules, there's a lot of and they're all going to the same group, you're going to have your team ignoring the escalation rule completely, because there's just going to be too much. Okay, so best practice is you want to have one where your SLA is about to expire. So this means is that if you've got SLAs, you want to set an escalation rule to let the assigned administrator and his direct manager know that you've got 1 hour until the due date, until the SLA goes into effect. And you don't want to be working outside of the SLA, right? So you want to have an escalation rule that's set before the due date. Okay, super important. If you need our help, professional services, if you need our assistance with setting this up, amazing, let us know. But of course, you're welcome to do this on your own. You can always go to the section over here into documentation, and it's going to take you to the exact page on how to set up escalation rules. Okay, so this is first and foremost. If you do need our help, professional services can help you. Our AEs can send you a quote if need be. It's up to you. Otherwise, obviously, first part, try and do it yourself. Okay, so this is one of the first escalation rules that you should always have, is to trigger before the due date. All right. Another one is to trigger when it actually has expired, or sorry, when it has expired, which is the second one over here. Okay. So in other words, when it's been 1 minute past the due date, so let's just say you've got an SLA in place. Let me give you a used case. And if anyone wants to share a use case, you're welcome to type it in the chat. But let's just say, for example, you've got a ticket that's come in, and the priority for the specific ticket, maybe no matter what, maybe it was any priority, but it's past the due date, and it's the status is active, which means it's an open, a new, a pending status. It's past 1 minute past the due time. It's an escalation rule to let the person know, hey, service record has expired. Why have you not responded to the ticket? Okay, so this is a very, very common thing. You obviously want to give your customers a good customer experience, right? So if you're letting their tickets go past their due date, which hopefully you've set up in due dates, which we'll get there, then if you I've just lost my train of thought, but the main thing is that you want to give them a good customer experience and make sure that they are answering their tickets in good time and resolving them in good time. Okay, hope that makes sense. And we're going to move on. Again, type some questions if you need to. I do love engagements. Okay, let's continue with the health check. Okay, so let's go to routing rules. If you have a red cross here, I'm going to ask you why. Okay, why? Because you should be letting SysAid do the automation for you. The routing rules, and if you hover your mouse, it tells you a little bit about the routing rule, is you want to get your ticket to the right place. So routing rules is basically aimed on using the self-service portal, okay? So if you've got tickets that are being submitted with a routing rule, and if you've got a supervisor, maybe it's yourself, you're the SysAid admin, and you going in and a ticket comes in and you going in and you're assigning tickets. Oh, okay, this ticket, I'm actually going to assign this to Administrator Joe Soap. You shouldn't need to do that. Really, you should look at automation. You would want to be more efficient. So you should always have your routing rules set up. Now let's go into the routing rules. Okay. Routing rules can be set up by a few things. You can set up routing rules based on agreement. Let's just say you're utilizing companies, user groups, by locations, or by categories. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you've got Joe Soap. He deals with all the hardware and printing. So no matter what the subcategory or the third level category is, the group or the administrator to be working on this ticket is the IT security group, for example, or the administrator is John Smith. Okay, that's me. Let's be creative. Let's use Kate. Okay, Kate is the one who deals with all the hardware and printing categorized tickets. Okay, so this means when you click on apply, it means that all of these tickets coming in from this category will be assigned to Kate automatically. You don't have to go in and actually have someone assigning automatically. Okay. All right. So, Tanya, thank you. I see that you've sent a message to the team. Great. Okay. Or to the team of people, I should say, to all of you. All right. So, best practices, I can tell you, especially from my professional services days, I had a lot of customers set up routing rules according to categories, some also per agreement. And when we talk about agreement, let's just say agreements, I might have a specific agreement in place where I have a VIP agreement, and maybe VIP agreement is my CEO and CCO, Avi and Francis, okay? Maybe they submit their tickets via the self-service portal. I want all of their tickets to be routed to me, who is John Smith, okay? Because I am the SysAid admin. I am the person to help our CCO and CEO. So you can set up routing rules according to agreement as well. But I can tell you the majority of customers use categories. Okay, but either way, use a routing rule. Maybe you don't want to have any by category. Maybe you've only got one first line of support. So if that's the case, all tickets that come in, no matter what the agreement, no matter what the company category and so forth, gets assigned to a specific group, which is your group company A or your tier 2 support group, and that will cover all of your tickets. Okay, but you should have some kind of a routing rule. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to email rules. Okay. I'll try and speed up just a little bit because I do want to have some time left for some questions, and I do have some polls that I want to ask you guys. So I'll try and speed up a little bit. So email rules works exactly the same way as routing rules, except it's when you've got your email integration working. So if you've got customers that are using email as a way of submitting tickets, then you have to set up your email rules. So let's take a little walk into the email rule over here. Okay, now let's just go into new. So firstly, if you are using email integration as one of your methods to submit tickets and you're not getting, and you haven't set up any email rules, if you've set up, I think the logic is based on 1 or 2 email rules, which you don't need to have so many. But the email rule also helps you get the ticket to the right place. So what you would do is This is where you go in and set up the email rule. I'm not going to go in and show you how to set up the email rule. But one thing that is important is that, like I just said, if you've got users submitting tickets using email integration, you should have email rules set up. And again, we are here to help you, but you can always go to the documentation as well. And you can set up your email rules where you define what the incoming email address is. Let's just say it's for all help desk. And let's just say it's any text. So any email that comes in with any text should then be set to a status of new. Maybe you want to define the group, which goes to the tier 2 support group, and then apply the rule. Anything that you add in here predefines it for your administrators or your agents. So you should actually, you can predefine a priority to be low for absolutely every ticket that comes in via email. Because the more you do in an email rule, the more you do here, the more you help your SysAid agents, administrators, become more efficient, because it's all going to be predefined for them. Okay, so if you've got any questions, send them in here. If you don't have questions, I hope that send some emojis or some love in the Q&A chat. I don't know, I'm happy to have some love. I'm in my office over here, and I'm all on my own, and I feel like I'm talking a lot. So share some love by some emojis if you want to. Okay. Oh, Rajiv, thank you. I got something. Okay. All right, let's continue. Okay, so this is a big one. Guys, let's talk about categories. Categories. How many of you have more? Well, let's see. Categories over here. I got a checkbox of green, amazing. Why? Because I have 124 categories. If you got anything over 200 categories, that means you're going to have a red box. You shouldn't be having so many categories, okay? Best practice, I can tell you now, have a look at my test account. Best practice is to have about 8 categories over here. And I want to show you, and I just want to share, your first level categories should have about 10, maximum 12 categories, okay? Your subcategory or your second level category, this is pretty much, and you can see I've actually got quite a lot, but you shouldn't have as many as me, to be honest with you. This should be, the best practice is to have the area of your business that's being affected, whether it's hardware, software, and so forth. That would be the idea. Jason, you've got 800 plus categories. No, please, no. And Paul, also 355. That's also quite a lot. And I can tell you what's happening. And thank you for your feedback, and thank you for sharing. I'll tell you what's probably happening, and maybe you guys want to even comment. Rafael, you've got 430. Do you have your users 749, Richard? Okay, so you've probably got users that are submitting tickets and maybe selecting any old category, and you're making your life harder for your administrators because the category is probably wrong. And when your category is wrong, it's also difficult to report on it because they're just probably selecting anything because they don't care. So really, guys, 10 or 12 first level categories, subcategories, not as much as mine, I can tell you right now. The health check is based on first level categories only. So if you've got anything more than 200 and anything more than 10 or 12, you're going to get a fail. Jake, that is amazing. That's great feedback. And we were talking just categories or combo of category subnotes, just category. So over here, what you're seeing here, 124, this is a combination of all of them. This is all of my, if I go show all, this is a combination of categories, subcategories, and third level categories. Okay, so you shouldn't have a lot of categories, really. I don't recommend it. Again, you can go to the documentation to help you, And if not, maybe Sarah, you can post in the chat right now our in fact, I'll show you. I've got a QR code which is really fancy. If you want to book an appointment with one of my account execs to discuss how professional services can help you, or maybe it's to discuss something else, you can use the QR code that I have on the screen. Or Sarah, you can post the link in the chat. Thank you, Sarah. We're always happy to engage with you and go from there. Okay, I'm going to move off the QR code. I hope you've had a chance to scan it. If not, let us know and let's continue. Okay, so let's move on. Asset management. All right, now SysAid has a really good, and I don't know if you guys know this, we have an integration with Landsweeper right now for asset management. And this is I don't know if any of you are using Landsweeper, but the reason why I failed is because I haven't actually set up my asset management. Now with SysAid, most of you should have at least 250 assets that are that comes with the system. All right. If you want to talk about consolidation or anything like that, if you've got an asset tool, we should be able to help you. But if you go into the asset list over here, why is mine failed? Because I only have 14 assets. Okay. Now, if you're a user, and if you're a company that has at least 500 employees, you've probably got at least 1,000 or 1,500 assets, because you've probably given them a laptop, and there's probably a router, there's probably a monitor. And it would be interesting to hear why you're not using our asset management tool. I'd also love to know, like, what is the case if you're not using our asset management tool? It's super amazing, especially with Landsweeper. And Jason, I'm going to get to your question. It's quite a good question because you're using the CMDB, and I'm going to get to your question shortly and keep them coming. Okay, so the big question is, again, why are you not using our asset tool? Our asset tool shows you quite a lot, and I'm going to go into this. Let me walk you through this, what you can see. Okay, so firstly, you can see you can see who the owner or the user is. Okay, if your user logs in 5 times, it picks up the user automatically on our asset management. But some of the big things here are hardware and software. You can't get this if you haven't deployed your agents, right? So the same thing for software. Okay, you want to be able to. You can use the SysAid built-in remote control. Literally, I would start. We've got a built-in remote control. Some of you may have TeamViewer, which is amazing. We also integrate with TeamViewer. But if not, we've got an internal remote control that you can use. You can also see, and I'm not going to go through every tab, but you can also see login history. Is Joe Soap actually logging into his into SysAid? It shows quite a lot. The activity log, what software they're using, perhaps they're having a problem with a specific software on their environment. So, and also another thing is super important is in your service desk, in your incidents, if you do have the agent deployed, you can actually firstly, you can find the asset, but if they do have the agent deployed on their laptop, and if they do submit a ticket via the self-service portal, it'll pick up the asset automatically. Okay, so seriously, you should be using the asset tool, and if you need our help with it, again, let us know. Okay, let's move on. Okay, requests, change, and problem management. So I have this thing, okay, and I'm going to share it with you all. Every single customer, all right, should be using incident, requests, change, and problem. If you're only using SysAid for incidents, why? Okay, you should have an HR onboarding team. There should be a workflow for a person who's a new joiner, or maybe it's someone who's a person who's leaving, right? You should have a workflow process in place for onboarding. And I'll just show you. Like here is the workflow. Okay, so when someone new joins, what is their first name? What is their last name? When are they starting? What software do they need? What equipment do they need? All right. So if you have a process where you're using paper sign-offs or emails just to sign off, seriously, you should be utilizing requests. The same thing, let's just say you've got a user who has a problem with their mouse, and they've sent in an incident, my mouse is not working. Okay, now you've ascertained that they actually need a new mouse. Okay, great. That turns from an incident into a request, because now you have to request a new mouse for them. So you should always be using requests, and not only for HR, for any requests coming from your users. Can you get a copy of the workflow template to compare for onboarding and offboarding? Yeah, sure, of course. We can. We'll be in contact with you, Jason. Of course, we can send you a copy of our onboarding, but every customer usually does have their own onboarding and offboarding workflow process. But of course, I'm happy to share mine. Okay, the same thing for change. Now, change and problem can never, ever be created by, yeah, sure, will do, Jake. Change and problem will never, ever be created by your users. Change and problem is going to be created by one of you guys. And a change is, for example, I'll give you a use case. Let's just say you're making a change in your system because you want to add new hardware. Okay, you need to go through a change process in order to set up your new server that's going into your head office. Why? Because is there downtime? When do you want to do it? Who needs to be notified? So you've got a change process, and sometimes there's emergency changes where things happen, so that all of these have some type of approval process. And it's super important to also use the SysAid change functionality. It also is, like I said, a workflow process with approvals and so forth, and so on. Same thing for problem management. And if you understand the logic of how to set up a request, change, or problem, the logic of the workflow, I have to be honest with you, it was probably a little bit hard for me when I started in professional services, how to set up a workflow. It can be a little bit difficult. It took me a while, I have to be honest with you, but the main thing is understanding the logic and understanding the flow. And then it's just a matter of then practice and getting it into the system. But when I was in professional services, we didn't have something called Workflow Designer. And Workflow Designer is something makes it so much easier to create workflows in SysAid. And the same logic goes. If you can create a request, it means you can create a change, which means you can create a problem. So again, we're here to help you if you need our help for it. But this was a lot of the work that I did in professional services was helping customers create workflows, because it also can take a little bit of time. But once you've got the process covered, you are going to be in a happy place. Okay, so problem management, super important. Let's just say you got in your incident queue. Let's just say, for example, this person submits a ticket, and you can start seeing, right, that there's a problem now with Microsoft Office. Okay, there have been 6 or 7 incidents come in that day, and again, this is just hypothetical, but 6 or 7 issues that have come in for Microsoft Office. Something's not working, maybe it's password related. That's when you, as a SysAid admin or one of your administrators, will go in and create a new problem, okay, whether it's a standard, a major, and you've already got a built-in template already, okay, and you can actually go in and link all of the tickets, okay, you can add in some linked tickets. You can see all of the ones I don't know where I think it's the other way around. Okay, I'm not going to do it now, but you can go and link in all of the problem tickets that had the Microsoft Office issue with them. Let's just make this a little bit bigger. Maybe I can't. Where is it? Select. There it is. Okay, so you can link tickets, add it, and then of course save it. So and so what happens is then you'll have an idea of where your incident, where all of the incidents are, who are the customers affected by this specific problem. Okay, so I know we're almost running out of time, and I want to get to the questions as well. So let's just go back. Okay, due dates and advanced reporting. Okay, due dates are your SLAs. Okay, now I've spoken to a lot of customers. They say they don't have any SLAs. Okay, if that's the case, you don't have SLAs, it's absolutely fine. I'd like to understand why, because maybe if you've just got 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 administrators, maybe you don't want to have SLAs. But the thing is, how can you offer your customers a better customer experience if you don't actually have SLAs set up? So SLAs are your due dates, right? So you want to have SLAs. Let's just discard this. You want to have SLAs set up. And I can tell you why, because let's just say, for example, you want to see, maybe you've got 20 administrators, maybe you've got 10, maybe Joe Soap is going on too many smoke breaks during the day, okay? And maybe all of his tickets that he's attending to are going over that SLA, because remember, we've already set up an escalation rule to identify that. Okay, so I think it's important, if you obviously want to grow, get better as a team, you want to have SLAs set up. I can't tell you what your SLAs are, but I can tell you that SLA best practice is set up according to priority. Okay, remember we saw earlier on the self-service portal on the submitted incident form, we saw that urgency and impact is usually defined by the user. And of course, when all of your users, when they're going to send something, it's always going to be urgent and it's always going to impact everyone, okay? But priority is set by yourselves, okay? So you want to set up just five SLAs based on priority. That's all. Again, you can set them up according to agreement, urgency, if you wanted to, categories, and so forth, or maybe your VIP, which is my CCO and CEO, remember? Maybe you want to set it up according to that, but best practice is according to priority. So, for example, your highest priority would have a due date, for example, of 1 hour, okay? And literally apply it and create it, okay? I can't tell you what your SLA is. Maybe your highest priority ticket is 24 hours. But remember, I said to you in the beginning, operating times, if you didn't set your operating times, it means that if let's just say it's a 24-hour day, if your due dates work according to your operating times. So let's just say, for example, you don't set your operating times correctly, then your due dates and your SLAs are not going to be accurate, because let's just say you've closed for the day at 6 p.m., you've closed, someone sends in a ticket at 7 o'clock. If you haven't set 7 o'clock at night, if you haven't actually set your operating times, then your clock is ticking and it's not going to look good on your stats. Okay, and just very, very quickly, advanced reporting. At the end of the day, you want to utilize SysAid's reporting. You want to have reports set up. You want to be able to see what is your mean time to resolve, your mean time to repair. We've got a lot of out-of-the-box reports. If you need reports from us, of course, go to the documentation, but we're here to help you if need be. But you should be pulling reports to see how long is it taking for Joe Soap to respond to his tickets? How long is it taking him to resolve? How many tickets are in breach of the SLA? So at the end of the day, it all boils down to, what do you want to achieve with SysAid over the year, and how can myself and my team, help you and support you to doing it? So that's one of the biggest questions. And I guess that's pretty much the health check. I wanted to get to The question about CMDB. Jason, you wrote, I'm curious about a way to scan the asset tags on my hardware into Asset Manager. Currently, the mobile app tool only scans to the CMDB. That is correct. That is correct. So the thing is with the CMDB doesn't take up an asset license. So that's why the scanner is going to work. It doesn't take up a license because everything that's in your asset list is everything that's discoverable, everything that's linked to your network, your server, your servers. So you might be scanning in an iPhone, an iPad, a monitor, anything that, well, monitor could probably be discoverable, but things that are not, I'm busy looking here in my office what I've got. Anything that's not discoverable will go into your CMDB. So that's why a scanner does work specifically for CMDB. I do want to check something though. I believe what you could do though, Jason, you could export everything from your CMDB and you could import it into your asset list. It just takes up an asset license though. So of course, I'm happy to sell you asset licenses, but I do want to give you best practices as well. So yeah, so if that's what you want to do, then of course, then you can make it part of the asset list as well. But the asset list is specifically for everything that's discoverable. Will your team be looking to improve the quality of the scanner for the CMDB? Jason, I'm not sure what issues you're experiencing, but I don't know if you've got a ticket. But if you do need to send a ticket, please send a ticket to help desk, and I'm typing it into the chat at sysaid.com. And if you've got an issue with the quality of the scan or anything like that, please send in a ticket with your issue that you're busy typing to me, and one of our customer care agents will support you on that. Okay. Okay, first and foremost, or second and third, whatever. I think I've said first and foremost a few times. So I want to just launch one of the polls. It's super important to me to know the following. Okay, the first poll that I want to actually launch, and hopefully you can see it. Would you prefer an account executive to contact you directly, or would you book a meeting? It's up to you. I just want you to please, I'll let this go for a minute. So thank you for that. And I can see that a lot of you are saying yes, which is great. I do have another poll that I want to launch before we end, because your feedback is super important to me. So I'll give you just a few more minutes before I end this poll. I don't actually know if I can launch another poll at the same time. Interesting question, maybe for my next Power Hour, which will be in 2 weeks. So of course, please look out for the invitations for that. You can, of course, register for it. It's going to be more on cloud, and it will be targeted more towards on-prem customers, but I'm very happy to put in the Q&A section a link to it if you would like to. If you hang on, where is the chat? Here we go. That's the link to register for the next one, and that'll be in 2 weeks. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. Fine. Okay. And the other poll, please, guys, it would be super important for me. Let me try and launch the second poll, because I want to give you 1 or 2 minutes just to type. Hang on. Where is my other poll? Hang on a second. Why can't I launch this? 1 minute. Let's try that again. Okay. There we go. Okay, so this is the second poll. What would you like covered in future Power Hour sessions? Your feedback is so important. I'd love to know what else you want to learn. How can I make your experience a much better experience? Please, this will be open for a few minutes. Please take your time. While you are adding in your answers, does anyone else have any questions that you would like to ask? Anything else that you would like to share? Anything? If you want, you can give me a thumbs up if you thought this was helpful, a thumbs down if you thought it was a waste of time. I'm open to constructive feedback. Hopefully it's not a thumbs down, but let's see. Oh, I see someone clapping. Thank you for whoever that is. Thank you, thank you. Saw some emojis. Thumbs up. Yay. Thank you, everyone. Lovely. I wish we could actually, thank you, Kagaton, as well. I wish I could have you guys actually talking and asking live questions. Maybe, do we have a prize for today? Actually, thank you for mentioning that, Jason. So the prize for today is for all of you. Okay, if you would like to take advantage of professional services with us, I'll be providing a 25% discount on any professional services hours that you do take with us. So if that's the case, when you do book your meetings and you do speak to our AEs, if you do need our help, again, try and do it yourself. But if you do need our help, I'll offer you a 25% discount. And that is the prize for today. And thank you for the overview and ways to make our environment better. Can you please share your categories too? Absolutely. I can share the categories with you, Amber, with the greatest of pleasure. Thanks, Greg. And I'm sure you guys are probably starting to drop off. So thank you for joining me today. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for engaging with me as well. You're awesome. And I hope to see you back again in the next 2 weeks. Thanks, everyone. Bye.